Hi, this is Sean Henricksen here at the Sean Henricksen Law Firm, where we help good people like you avoid the devastating consequences of criminal charges. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about how Bexar County is handling misdemeanor family violence cases and how I think that they should be handling them differently. Before we get to that, we do have a free download for you. It's 4 things that you should be doing right now if you've been arrested. You can click down in the show notes and there's a link below and we can send that right out to you. Also, if you have any questions about this video or if you are being charged with a crime here in San Antonio, there's a link to schedule a free consultation with you. We'd be happy to discuss that case with you. Bexar County right now is handling misdemeanor family violence cases and family violence cases in general differently than a lot of other types of cases. Our county officials have made it a point to say that we are undergoing kind of a family violence sort of a crisis. And because of that, there's a lot of talk among our politicians and elected officials about what to do about this family violence issue. And I think that the way that they're going about it is wrong. If you search around, there are a lot of articles between different county officials about family violence here in San Antonio and what they want to do to try and minimize this family violence issue, basically to have fewer cases dealing with family violence. Right now, the county's approach to handling family violence cases is a tough on crime approach, meaning that basically they're trying to get convictions on as many cases as they can and trying to dismiss as few cases as possible. Despite that, there are still a lot of dismissals in family violence cases, and there are a lot of reasons for that. When you compare family violence cases to other types of crimes, like say a DWI, in a DWI, there's video of a person who's not driving well. There's usually some sort of admission that they were drinking or coming from a bar. You may have field sobriety tests. And finally, you may have some sort of blood alcohol or breathalyzer test showing that this person had been drinking alcohol and have a blood result or breath result showing how much alcohol they had in their system. Now, when you compare that to a family violence case, family violence cases are generally he said, she said sort of cases. It's common for both people to have injuries on them. It's pretty common for it not to be clear who exactly started what. So both people are saying that the other person started it. And there aren't really many other witnesses who can testify as to what actually happened. What this means is that when police arrive, normally everything's calmed down, but it can be difficult to figure out what exactly did go on, who did what, who started what, and what actually happened. And so when the police make an arrest on a family violence case, a lot of times they make the wrong arrest, or at least after looking at the case and talking to everybody, it's not clear that they always arrested the right person. Additionally, this can be a tough type of a case for prosecutors to handle also. Again, there's not near as much evidence in these types of cases as there are in other types of cases. A lot of times, the main piece of evidence is going to be the victim's own statement about what happened. So that means that you would need the victim to come in and testify what happened in court. But in family violence cases, a lot of times people reconcile, get back together, and they don't want the person who is being charged with a case ultimately charged. They want the case dismissed, which means that it can be hard for the state to get people to come in on these types of cases. And if they do come in, it can be hard to predict exactly how they're going to testify. On top of all that, the consequences of a family violence case are more than any other type of misdemeanor and more than a lot of types of felonies. If a person charged with a family violence case here in San Antonio takes any sort of a plea, or if they take the case to trial and lose at trial, not only are they facing a possible fine or possible jail time like any other Class A misdemeanor, but the judge will also find that they committed an act of family violence, which has another set of consequences that come along with it. That means that they can never have this taken off of their record, even if it's a deferred adjudication offer, which normally would be available. If they're ever charged with anything like this again, it's automatically upgraded to a felony. They're never able to own or possess a firearm, which for some people is very important, for others less so. And it could even have an impact on any custody issue that happens in the future, whether or not they can even have possession of their kids. Because there's usually less evidence on these types of cases, and because the consequences of taking an offer from the DA's office are so much higher, a lot of these cases don't plea out quite as easily as other types of cases. In 2019, in Bexar County, there were 5,433 misdemeanor family violence assault cases that were closed out. Of those cases, 3,095 of those cases were dismissed, which is about 57%. It's just under 57%. Of the cases that were closed out because they went to trial, 36 of those cases went to trial and were found not guilty, and 20 of those cases went to trial and were found guilty. So that means that even the cases that didn't plea out, didn't get dismissed, that went to trial, still you had a better chance of winning than you did of losing if you were charged with a misdemeanor assault family violence case. And what that means is that a large portion of the people who are being charged with this, who the police thought committed an act of family violence and had the evidence that they needed to arrest that person, ended up walking away without any sort of consequences or any sort of treatment on these types of cases. Some of those people obviously were innocent, and that's why the case was dismissed. But some of those people, those cases were dismissed because there just wasn't enough evidence to convict those people. If the county believes that there's a problem with family violence cases, they need to stop focusing on the punishment issue, because it's clear that that's not working, since more than half of the people charged with this crime, the cases are getting dismissed. What they need to do is focusing on getting as many people treatment as possible. There's a way to do that also, and that is by using pretrial diversion. The way pretrial diversion works is that if the county lets somebody into the pretrial diversion program, they end up dismissing that case, and the person whose case they're dismissing has to do some things. If they complete that, then the case goes away and they can actually clean their record up afterward. Now, on a family violence case, that would be probably some sort of family violence class or anger management class or something like that. And that would be a way that the county could try and get people treatment to try and make sure that there are fewer family violence cases in the future. And it really benefits both sides. The county would obviously benefit because more people are getting treatment, which should hopefully lead to fewer family violence cases in the future. The defendant would benefit also because instead of having their case last for months or sometimes even years, then they can have their case closed out sooner, and they don't have that finding of family violence, which means that they can get their record cleaned up and not have this follow them around for the rest of their life. The county also benefits because since there are fewer family violence cases, the prosecutors and courts handling those cases can focus on the types of cases that shouldn't be dismissed through a pretrial diversion program, who should be prosecuted. So in the cases where there's a pattern of family violence, or the injuries are more significant, or if the victim wants this case prosecuted, then the county can focus more on those cases, which means they've got a better chance of getting convictions on those types of cases, instead of having their attention spread out over so many cases, a lot of which are ultimately going to be dismissed. I hope that this video has been informative and helpful for you. If you have any questions about anything that I've said, or if you're being charged with a crime here in San Antonio, whether it's a misdemeanor family violence case or another type of a case, please feel free to give me a call at 210-942-4997, or you can schedule a consultation using the link down below in the show notes. I'd be happy to sit down and discuss your case with you, and I hope that you have a great day.